murder, including femicide, which was duly tabled on 3rd day of December 2025. Madam Speaker, notably, the petition was committed to the Committee on Finance, Economic Planning, ICT and Revenue, together with the Committee on Health Services for joint scrutiny and processing for the House approval. Further, Madam Speaker, for in-depth scrutiny and consideration, the Joint Committee requires to invite the petitioners as they analyze the impact of the waivers on the facility improvement financing, that is FIF, possible loopholes that would emerge from the waivers and the implementation of the same. And arising from the above, Madam Speaker, the Joint Committee seeks further 45 days to compile a comprehensive report for the consideration of the House and onward approval. Madam Speaker, we have had several interactions for the joint committees, that is the Committee on Finance, Economic Planning, ICT and Revenue, together with the Committee on Health. But we found it prudent, Madam Speaker, to have an in-depth scrutiny on, Madam Speaker, so that we can see the possible loopholes that would emerge after now the waivers arising now from the current finance bill, Honorable Speaker. And with that, I think 45 days, Madam Speaker, will be sufficient.
All right, thank you, Honorable Zachary. The preliminary report on the petition is duly tabled and read. The leave sought is well explained and deserving. And so I grant the 45 days as sought and ensure the report is ready within the time you have requested. Next.
Order number 5, papers. Madam Speaker, there is a paper to be tabled by the Honorable Zachary Mwangi, the Chairperson, Committee on Finance, Economic Planning, ICT and Revenue.
Well, Honorable Zachary Mwangi, it's your chance.
Madam Speaker, I wish to report that the Committee on Finance, Economic Planning and ICT and Revenue has processed in Nyandarua County Receiver of Revenue statements for the financial year ended 30th day of June 2025 for consideration by this House. The committee has scrutinized the financial statements thoroughly, and it is about to conclude on the issue pertaining on the financial statement. And Madam Speaker, to ensure inclusion of all relevant information to the committee further requests a 7 days extension to conclude on the report. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
All right, thank you, Honorable Zachary. The preliminary progress report is duly tabled. The leave sought is well explained and deserving, and so I grant the 7 days sought and ensure the report is ready within the timeline. Next order.
Under the same order, Madam Speaker, there is a paper to be tabled by the Honorable Paul Ngeshe Wambaire, the Chairperson, Committee on Health Services.
Honorable Paul Ngeshe Wambaire, the Chairperson, Committee on Health Services, and the member for Kipipiri. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there is a status of the report on Nyandarua County Policy Framework. There is a status of the report on Nyandarua County Policy Framework for contracted corporate outpatient clinics and certified diagnostic service 2025. Since the committee of the Nyandarua County Policy Framework for contracted corporate outpatient clinics and certified diagnostic services 2025 to the committee, the matter has featured prominently in several of the committee's sittings. It has formed part of its agenda during the consideration process. The committee has undertaken a detailed examination of the policy with a view to ensuring that it provides a comprehensive and effective framework for the provision of contracted outpatient diagnostic services within the county. However, the committee has not yet finalized its scrutiny of the policy. During the review of the sections already considered, the committee identified a number of issues requiring further clarification and input from the county executive committee member for health services. The committee intends to seek responses on the identified matters upon completion of its scrutiny in order to facilitate a comprehensive and informed report to the House. In view of the foregoing and considering the need to adequately interrogate the policy address all emerging concerns, the committee respectively seeks an extension of 60 days within which to conclude its consideration and furnish the House with its report on the Nyandarua County Policy Framework for contracted corporate outpatient clinics and certified diagnostic services 2025. Such an extension will enable the committee to undertake a thorough review and present well-considered recommendation to the House. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Paul Ngeshe. The preliminary report is duly tabled and the leave sought for 60 days is granted. For you have explained and the explanation is deserving. Ensure that the report is ready within the time requested. Next order, clerk.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Madam Speaker, in line with your directions, we proceed to order number 7, statements. Order number 8, motions and bills. Madam Speaker, under this order, there is a resumption of an adjourned debate on the Finance Bill 2025, and where the House will resume the Committee of the Whole on the Nyandarua County Finance Bill 2025.
All right, thank you, clerk. The House now breaks to the Committee of the Whole. Honorable Ngeshe.
This is a resumption of business.
So members, we will have less than 10 minutes. So let's kindly now resume. It is resumption of the business. Crack.
Honorable Chair, the business that was under consideration when the House adjourned debate was the 6th schedule. That is schedule without amendment.
I propose the question that the 6th schedule start part of the bill. I now put the question that the 6th schedule start part of the bill. As of many of similar opinions say aye. As of many of contra opinions say nay. Ayes have it. Next.
We have a schedule with amendment. That is the 5th schedule.
Chairperson. Okay. I propose the question that the 5th schedule start part of the bill. Honorable Joyce Munywa.
I beg to move the motion that an amendment to the 5th schedule, part 6, code 1588, to delete the figure of 400 in the second column and insert there the word meal.
I propose the question that I'll call the seconder.
I call Honorable Mohede to second.
Honorable Kariuki Mohende.
I second.
I propose the question that the 5th schedule Part 6 code 1588 be amended by deleting the figure of 400 in the second column and insert thereat the word nil. I now put the question as proposed. As of many of similar opinions say aye. As of many of contrary opinions say nay. Ayes have it. Next. I propose the question that the fifth schedule as amended third part of the bill. I now put the question that the fifth schedule as amended third part of the bill. As of many of similar opinions say aye. As of many of contrary opinions say nay. Ayes have it. Next.
No schedules. There are no schedules. Interpretation, clause 2.
I propose the question that clause 2 on interpretation third part of the bill. I now put the question that clause 2 on interpretation third part of the bill. As of many of similar opinions say aye. As of many of contrary opinions say nay. Ayes have it. Next.
The short title and the long title. The long title.
I propose the question that the long title be the title of the bill. I put the question. I now put the question that the wrong title be the title of the bill. As of many of similar opinions say aye. As of many of contrary opinions say nay. Ayes have it. Next.
The short title, clause 1.
I propose the question that clause 1 on citations third part of the bill. I now put the question that clause 1 on citations third part of the bill. As of many of similar opinions say aye. As of many of contrary opinions say nay. Ayes have it. Next.
The report. The mover.
Mover. Honorable Zachary Njeru.
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that the committee does report to the House its consideration of the Nyandarua County Finance Bill 2025.
I call the seconder.
I wish to call Honorable Mohede to second.
Honorable Kariuki Muhende.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, I second.
I propose the question, which is that the committee does report to the House its consideration of Nyandarua County Finance Bill 2025. I now put the question, which is that the committee does report to the House its consideration of Nyandarua County Finance Bill 2025. As of many of similar opinions say aye. As of many of contrary opinions say nay. Ayes have it. Next. The House now resumes.
Chair of the Committee of the Whole, Honorable Paul Ngeshe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole has considered the Nyandarua County Finance Bill 2025 and approved the same with amendments. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Paul Ngeshe. The report is well delivered. Clerk, next order.
We have a motion by the chair of the committee of the whole that the House do agree with the report.
Honorable Paul Ngeshe, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker, sorry. I beg to move the following motion that this House does agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole on consideration of the Nyandarua County Finance Bill 2025. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thus call Honorable Zachary Mwangi-Jeru to second.
Honorable Zachary Njeru, can you second?
Madam Speaker, I do second.
Thank you. I now propose the question, which is that This House does agree with the report Committee of the Whole on the consideration of the Nyandarua County Finance Bill 2025. I now put the question, which is that this House does agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole on the consideration of Nyandarua County Finance Bill 2025. May those of a similar opinion say aye. Aye. May those of a contrary opinion say nay. And the ayes have it. Clerk, next order.
Madam Speaker, we will now have the Chair, Honorable Zachary, moving the motion of the third reading.
Honorable Zachary Mwangi-Njeru, proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move the following motion, that the Nyandarua County Finance Bill 2025 be read at that time, and I call upon Honorable Paulo Geche and the Chairperson of the Committee of the Whole to second.
Madam Speaker, I do second.
Thank you. I now put the question, which is that the Nyandarua County Finance Bill 2025 be read at that time. May those of a similar opinion say aye. May those of a contrary opinion say nay. And the ayes have it. All right, so the motion is taken, and I now direct the clerk to read the bill for that time. The bill has now been read for, proceed.
This is the Kenya Gazette Supplement number 7, Nyandarua County Bills number 4 of 2025, the Nyandarua County Finance Bill 2025, a bill for an act of the County Assembly of Nyandarua to provide for the various taxes, fees, cess, licenses, and charges for services and for other revenue-raising measures by the county government and for the matters incidental thereto.
Thank you. This bill has now been read at that time and is duly enacted by this House, awaiting the Governor's assent. Clerk, next order.
Under the same order, Madam Speaker, there is a motion to be moved by the Honorable Isaac Mbaye Kamau, the Chairperson, Committee on Water, Sanitation, Environment, Tourism, Natural Resources and Climate Change.
Very well. Honorable Isaac Mbaye Kamau, the Chairperson, Committee on Water, Sanitation, Environment, Tourism, Natural Resources and Climate Change. And the Honorable Member for Githioro, proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I will start with the introduction and background. Madam Speaker, the Nyandarua County Sport Tourism Conservation Half Marathon Fund was established through the Public Finance Management Act 2012 at Nyandarua County Lake Oroborozat Sport at Conservation Half Marathon Fund Regulations 2023. The fund objectives is to mobilize resources for funding of Lake Oroborozat sport tourism and conservation half marathon. Notably, the fund aimed to promoting sport tourism and conservation of Lake Oroborozat, the only hydrat lake in the Kenya Hydrats. More so, fund provide a framework for the mobilization of resources for funding the Lake Oroborozat sport tourism and conservation half marathons and half marathon. Madam Speaker, primarily the half marathon was created after a wide consultation with the stakeholders and public participation of Lake Oroborozat Integrated Management Plan 2020-2030. The marathon aims to realizing the long-term county objectives of marketing the county as sport tourism hub under meetings, incentives, conferences and events as created in the National Development Plan and the Kenya Vision 2030. These are sustained economic growth, employment creation, poverty eradication, reduced inequalities, income, gender between regions, and the promotion of economic empowerment. The FAD covers several aspects of the economy, environment, and the society. It is anticipated that with time, the growth of the marathon will help create awareness worldwide and lays FAD, which will support the conservation project and programs in the management plan. Hence, they need to support it through the FAD to established. The Rick Oroborosat Half Marathon organizing committee, through the assistance of the FAD, organized the second edition of Rick Oroborosat Sport, Tourism and Conservation Marathon on 15th June 2025, themed Sport Tourism for Conservation. Madam Speaker, the next, that is now the page 5, you'll be able to see the mandate. Allow me, Madam Speaker, to acknowledge, I wish to recognize the immeasurable effort demonstrated by the honorable members of this committee during this committee sittings. I wish to register its appreciation to the Secretariat for offering technical expertise during this compilation of this report. Most importantly, I extend our gratitude to our office and that of the clerk for ensuring that the entire exercise was successful. Your facilitation ensured that the committee received optimal technical and logistical support necessary, and it cannot go unnoticed. Lastly, Madam Speaker, it is my pleasure to, on behalf of the Committee on Water, Sanitation, Environment, Tourism, Natural Resources, and Climate Change, to present this report to the House for consideration of and adoption. To all honourable members, I thank you on behalf of the committee. May God bless you. Good to let the committee, the House know, the members of the committee, Madam Speaker, the members of committee are Honorable, that is myself, the Isaac Bai Kamau, the chairperson, Honorable Karo Jarara, Wago Jarara, the vice chair, Honorable Ibrahim Maina Mwangi, the member, Honorable James Mwangi Shoke, member, Honorable Lucy Gedeji, member, Honorable Mirika Wajiro Dirango, member, Paul Gesho Wabaire, Honorable Paul Gesho Wabaire, member, Honorable Paul Kiruka Boro, member, Honorable Samuel Wainaina Madhu, member. When I speak on page 8, members can be able to see the mandate of the committee. I'll go to the committee observation and findings. The committee held a meeting to consider the Nyandarua County Lake Oroborosat Sport Tourism and Conservation Half Marathon Fund Annual Report and Financial Statement for the year ended 30th June 2025 as forwarded by the CCM for Water, Sanitation, Tourism, Environment, Natural Resources and Climate Change, and made the following findings: that the principal mandate of the FAD is to mobilize resources to fund the Lake Oroborosat Sport Tourism Conservation Half Marathon. As such, the FAD is run by the committee comprising the other listed. The committee led by Honorable Samuel Washira Mogo, the CCM Water, Sanitation, Tourism and Environment, Natural Resources and Climate Change. The member are Honorable Mugai Kiongo, CCM Youth Empowerment, Sport and Innovation. Other Mr. David Joroge, Chief Officer Tourism and Accounting Officer. Mr. Frederick Irongo, Chief Officer in charge of Finance. Madam Miss Helen Jerry Joroge, the Chief Officer in charge of Environment. Mr. Joram Kagimbi Kiari, the Chief Officer in charge of Economic Planning. Mr. Simon Jiri, Director of Sport. Mr. Bernard Moi Murioki, Director Tourism, the FAD Administrator. Mr. Moses Murioki, representing Lake Oroborosat Community Conservation Group. Mr. Daniel Kamau, representing Avrit Kenya. Mr. Isaac Cairo, representing Nyandarua County Tourism Association. Key management team. Then we have the key management team, that is Mr. Honorable Samuel Washira Mogo, the CCM Water, Sanitation, Tourism and Natural Resources, Climate Change, Mr. Bernard Moi Murioki, the Director in charge of Tourism and Funding Administrator, David Joroge, Chief Officer Tourism and Courting Officer, and Frederick Kirogo, Chief Officer in charge of Finance. The function of the funds committee include to consider and recommend the estimate of the revenue and expenditure of the fund to the county executive committee member in charge of finance for the approval. Number 2, to recommend the opening and the closing of a bank account in accordance with the Act. Number 3, to recommend disbursement from the fund. Number 4, to receive, review, make recommendation on reports on the performance of the fund. Number 5, to oversee the monitoring and evaluation of the program and activities under the funds. Number 6, to consult with the county executive committee on matters relating to the administration of the fund. Madam Speaker, the committee organized the second edition of Lake Oborosat Sport Tourism Conservation Half Marathon on the 15th June 2025. The event brought together over 1,000 athletes, individuals, and organizations dedicated to support sport tourism and conservation of the Lake Oborosat. The Lake Oborosat Half Marathon had a profound impact on the both community and its mission to conserve and promote sport tourism. It realized a following benefit. 1, road connectivity for the local community. A tourism-oriented business allowed the lake. The road used for the marathon will be maintained annually, making it sustainable for the half marathon event. Number 2, increased awareness of the situation of the lake and bringing on board actors, sport partners, local communities during and after the half marathon to rescue the lake. But 3, there has been increased interest from various agencies in the field of exploration and research in matters relating to the Lake Oborosat. Increased visibility for the county, hence achieving the tourism agenda of promoting the county as a preferred tourism destination. Promoting of inclusivity by including the PWDs in the marathon, in this marathon. Lake conservancy by relying various stakeholders into tree planting activities at the lake's ecosystem. The key development objectives of the fund include: A, promoting sport tourism at lake. B, encouraging, facilitating the promotion of sport tourism and conservation half marathon by individuals, sponsors, friends, and organizations. C, funding purchasing essential supplies, uniform, sporting gears, equipment required during the marathon. Funding program and initial geared toward operationalization of the marathon. E, supporting stimulating rehabilitation and restoration initiatives to enhance capacity of the relevant institutions involved in rehabilitation and restoration of Lake Oborosat. F, to fund cash awards to the person competing in Lake Oborosat Sport Tourism and Conservation Half Marathon. That is G, funding any other emerging issues arising from the half marathon, rehabilitation and restoration of Lake Oborosat. Findings, Madam Speaker, the committee observed that the management of the fund is under committee establishment by the Nyandarua County Lake Oborosat Tourism and Conservation Half Marathon Funds Regulation 2023, Section 7.1, conspiring of 14 members. However, according to the fund annual report, the committee comprises of 11 members have left out the chief officer in charge of the sport, directors in charge of the finance and tourism. It was further noted that the Department of Tourism is currently without director, and the acting director is also the fund administrator, who is an ex-official member. Number 2, the half marathon organizing committee indeed organized the second edition of the Lake Oroborosat Sport Tourism and Conservation Half Marathon themed sport tourism for conservation. That took place on Sunday 15th June 2025. The race stood out for having started at the equator, zero altitude to the shores of Lake Oroborosat. The progress on the attainment of strategic development objectives are as stipulated in this program. I can also maybe take you through. You can be able to see it, how it is on the tabulated in the diagram below. I'll go further to the findings. The committee noted that 1. The progress of attained strategic development objective by the performance indicated could not be confirmed. Although the county hosted several visitors, hotels occupancy and awareness forum could not be confirmed. The half marathon had a good number of the attendees, but actual number could not be ascertained despite registration with 1,000 shillings. Number 2, in the first marathon report, a total number of 70,000 trees were planted, and in the second edition, over 94,000 trees were planted at the lake ecosystem since the inaugural marathon. On further investigation, the third administrator informed the committee that trees were planted in Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization (KALRO) Center in Orjorok. The center, via a letter dated 7th November 2025, wrote to the County Environment Committee appreciating a tree planting exercise conducted within the institution, where 4,000 seedlings of various species were planted with the expected 90% survival rate. The committee was further informed that the conservation of the lake is done in collaboration with the Lake Oroborosat Community Conservation, that consists the 56 conservation group that plant trees along the lake catchment area. However, there was neither a report or evidence provided as proof of the group activities to conserve the lake, nor evidence of conservation activities. Number 3, the fund aimed at raising fund to facilitate a successful Lake Oroborosat sports tourism and conservation to be raised through public contribution and donation with target of 4,326,000. That is at 8.2%. A transfer from county government targeting 7,005,000. That is 61.8%. The actual revenue raised was 8,486,814, with the county government contributing 7,005,000 to 100, translating to 100% of the target, where public contribution and donation on the other hand raising 1,481,814. That is about that 4.5% of the target, with a shortfall of 2,804,186. The shortfall is in public contribution was attributed to changes of marathon dates from the initial date 24th November 2024 to 15th June 2025. The funds had a balance from the previous period, that is 14,000 Kenya shilling 40,966, leading to a total revenue of Kenya shillings 8,511,782 for the second edition of Lake Oroborosat Sport Tourism and Conservation Half Marathon. There is a table there that is indicating the income, the source. Number 1 is the balance fund, that is 14,966. Budget allocation of market executive, that is 7,500,000, 7,005,000. The sponsorship grant the sponsorship granted support to the fund, that is 1,481,814, totaling to 8,511,780. During the year under review, the fund operated two accounts in DTB and KCB Bank. The KCB account was not active during the period when all transactions were carried out in the DTB Bank. Findings: the funds noted the revenue increase of 11.8% from the first marathon, where the county government increased its allocation from 2 million to 7 million, which is a total of 250% increase. While public contribution realized a decline of 73% from Kenya shillings, that is 5,616,700 to 1,506,780. Hence, the second marathon was funded by the exchequer through the county budget to a tune of 82.3%. The fund objects and the purpose is to mobilize resources to fund the half marathon. However, looking at the outcome, it is a committee opinion it would have been better if the exercise funded by the Department of Tourism, hence eliminating the cost occurred by the fund committee. Madam Speaker, the actual expenditure is tabulated in the table below, and it is there. The item funded, that is the race equipment, uniform, promoting the material at the operational cost. It was successfully delivered and done. That is with amount of 5,120,773. Then there is the payment of anti-doping agency, that is successfully paid 631,460,000. Nyandarua artist list promotion and marketing, successfully paid 300,000. Then there was payment for the cash award. It was successfully paid and fully paid. That is 2,184,000. Then there was payment for Athlete Kenya for the race license, that is 250,000, and it was successfully paid. Then you can see there was bank charges, that is 12,475, the totaling to 8,488,708. Findings: the fund recorded an increase in expenditure of 11.8% from the first edition. Notably, the increase in expenditure is equal to the increase in revenue. The committee noted that for the second edition, half marathon, all transactions were in the DTB Bank, were cash-based, contrary to Section 92 of the Public Procurement and Disposal Act 2015. Further, investigation revealed that the accounts are not approved by the committee as required, nor are they subjected to the internal control, since the report from internal audit were not availed from the consideration. Additionally, the second marathon report did not disclose donation in kind, unlike the first edition. Safaricom Limited donated 700 running t-shirt, publicity from Royal Media, 3 seedlings from Kenya Forest Service and Kenya Seed Company. 4. The fund reported committee allowances of 233,200 shillings and bank charges of 12,475. Finding: according to the fund regulation, among the functions of the committee in section 8C is to recommend disbursement from the fund. The minute provided did not include budget approvals or disbursement approval by the city committee. Further, the minutes of the committee of the fund disclose the following: A. The fund committee held 3 meetings to discuss and guide on the progress of the fund. B, the meeting is shared by the person who is not a member of the committee, rendering this discussion null and void. C, minutes are prepared by a person who did not attend the meeting and were confirmed by the FAD administrator who is an ex-official member. And D, the meeting do not discuss matters concerning its functions that include receive, review, make recommendation on report on the performance of the fund according to the clause 8 of the regulation. According to the clause 6 of the fund regulation, the expenditure of the fund in terms of administrative cost shall not exceed 3% of the fund. The committee allowances were within the set limit. However, on pursuit of the fund document, the committee is not well constituted, notably from the statement of comparison of the budget and actual amount for the fund period, period of 2024 to 2025. Fund administration expenses did not have an allocation, and therefore the amount spent ought not to have been spent. The committee indeed held a successful second education meeting, second edition of the Lake Orobosa Sport Tourism and Conservation Hub Marathon that had a fund balance of 13,071. The closing balance from the DB bank account was 4,015. While KCB account has a balance of 9,056. Findings: the committee indeed noted that the second half marathon was successful by bringing together over the 1,000 individual and organization, and created awareness of the endangered lake. The fund, however, could not demonstrate any action of conserving the lake. Madam Speaker, in view of foregoing, committee makes the following recommendation: that the House does adopt the committee report on the Nyandarua County Lake Orobosa Sport Tourism and Conservation Hub Marathon FAD annual report, financial statement for the year ended 30th June 2025, and recommendation therein as resolution of the Honorable House. 2, that the county executive in charge of tourism ensure that procurement of goods, works and services is conducted within the prescribed of the Public Procurement and Disposal Act 2015. That the county executive in charge of tourism shall ensure adherence to the set marathon date in future. 4, the county executive in charge of tourism shall ensure in future that funds are set aside are used to buy seedlings from the community to aid conservation. That the county executive in charge of tourism submit to this House the half marathon work plan and budget for the next marathon within 14 days. Madam Speaker, from the submission by the Department of Tourism, the second edition of the Orobosa Half Marathon was a success, having materialized on 15th June 2025. The marathon aimed to realizing the long-term county objective of marketing as support tourism hub with the anticipation to create awareness worldwide. Additionally, the committee appreciate that the event did not report a deficit nor occur a pending bill. However, it is concerned that the main agenda conservation of the lake was forgotten and all effort put on the sport tourism. This is evidenced by the management discussion and analysis, whose conclusion is that no amount of money was spent on tree planting, support to the local groups to conserve the lake. Madam Speaker, It is good to let the House know that we did a very conclusive interrogation on this issue of the half marathon. And as you have seen that we have requested the department to consider next time when they are doing this activity, because the base that we will set today, it will help this marathon to continue up to the generation to come. Like the Kaine Dam, they must, number one, consider doing things in a right manner, procurement done in the way it is supposed to be done. They must ensure that they disclose the fund that they are receiving. They disclose the expenditure of the fund according to the regulation that are guided by the rule of law, so that we avoid having a scene like there are some things are done illegally. We are okay. We are happy that they don't have they didn't carry forward the pending bills and all that. But the issue was, how was that money used? Was the money used illegally? Was the money withdrawn illegally? Were the people who are supposed to be handling the finance did it but they are mandate legally, or are they supposed to do that? So what we need to do is to create awareness that next time, as we have requested them within 14 days to submit the plan that they have, we need even to see that those people, the people who attended the meetings, they are the right people who are paid. Madam Speaker, we are encouraging many departments in this county, starting with this one. Every time they are considered, their contribution of money, that the money are supposed to buy seedlings. We consider, even if we get support from the Kenya Forest or any other support from any other quarters, we consider empowering our young people, our women groups and men groups that are having the green plantations, or they have the tree seedlings. We empower them and encourage them. Otherwise, if we keep on getting only planting the trees that we are getting from donor quota, then we will discourage our people from changing this county to be green, not only to Oroborosat, but all over across the county. If you go along the roads, you'll find there are people who have nurseries, but these people, they are getting minimal support from the government. And the government does not need to do anything. They just need to ensure that when the procurement are done, the person who has been given an opportunity to look for the seedlings, they are getting seedlings from our people. That is the only way we can be able now to empower our people through supporting their initiatives. Again, we noted they did a very good balancing, the multi-balancing, yeah. But at the end of the day, what we need is to see the right thing being done, instead of people, instead of having like quarries, they don't disclose all information. You heard that the first edition, the information were better disclosed, where Safaricom donated the uniforms, where other quarters donated other seedlings and other things. But this time they failed to disclose whether the uniform that were used, it was donated, but well, we were told it is bought, but we need to know every donor what he has contributed. Finally, we need now to keep focusing more on two things: conservation. The second thing, empowering our athletes. In Nyandarua, we have, you know very well, is a high altitude area, and I can tell you that we have so many young men and women who are gifted, gifted with athletes. We have many people. We have people like who retired, like Catherine Dereva, who retired. She belonged to this county. We have so many young people who are coming, and they are good runners. But we can consider we use more of our funds to empower those young people in a position where if a Nyandaruan runner own that kind of race, he can be able to sustain himself for the next 6 or 4 months to get, wherever they are going to run, they normally pay some funds. So we need to empower them in a way that they can be able to fund themselves in the next race for the next 1 year when they win this kind of election. It is the high time this county need to come up with a plan of not only identifying the footballers and volleyballers and other normal sport activities, but athletics is one of the things that we can be able to compete with our brothers and sisters in Rift Valley, because we have very energetic young people with very good and very well talented. Madam Speaker, I will call Honorable Ibrahim Maina to second.
Thank you, Honorable Isaac Mbai Kamau, for that motion. I now call Honorable Ibrahim, member for Morongaro Ward, to second.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. From onset, I do second the report of the committee in the view that we have to oversight this department, especially on this Lake All Browsart Conservancy Marathon, so that at least we get the real objective of the marathon, especially by promoting also our local stakeholders within the lake. Madam Speaker, as members go through this report, they'll come across that there are various gaps. And as the committee, we have recommended that so that in the future we get the quality of the marathon, is the department to comply with our recommendations, and for the sake of the funds that is being funded in the marathon, and also for the sake of county awareness. Madam Speaker, as we remember, the first marathon was held along the Lake of Browsart. Initially, there was something. It was the inaugural marathon, but as they came to second marathon, they didn't consider the challenges mostly they got in the first marathon. And out of those 2 marathons, they are able now to come up with a good work plan for the third and other forthcoming marathons. Therefore, we recommend they adhere to the recommendations of the committee for future marathons in this county, and for that I second.
Thank you, Honorable Ibrahim, the Chief Minority Whip. I propose the question, which is that this House does adopt the reports of the Committee on Water, Sanitation, Environment, Tourism, Natural Resources, and Climate Change on Nyandarua County Lake Olborosat Sports, Tourism and Conservation Half Marathon Fund Annual Report and Financial Statements for the financial year ended June 30th, 2025 as a report of the House, and the recommendation therein and the resolution of the House. Yes, Honorable Joyce Monyo, specially elected member.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to support the report and thank the committee for the comprehensive report that they have submitted to this House. Madam Speaker, I was involved somehow in some of the aspects of the marathon, because for the first time the marathon was very inclusive. We even had a wheelchair race where persons with disability from the county were involved in the marathon, and therefore I agree with the recommendations, because some of the things that have come up from this They are very important even for the planning for the teams. And like I see a recommendation here for the half marathon work plan and the budget for the next marathon to be submitted, which is very good, because even if we want to have even participants being able to plan themselves, it's important that we have something that they can be able to rely on exactly when is the activity happening, so they can be able to do their practice. I also note about the issues of conservation, because all along through the preparation of the marathon, it was very clear the purpose why we were doing this. It was to conserve Lake Obosat. So it's very important that all the activities, as even do every other activity that happened during the marathon, that we don't miss the real reason why the marathon was started, why it was actually said it's important thing for the county. So I really agree with the recommendation, and I ask that the executive or those who concerned, they may be able to adhere to this, so that in future we have marathons that are basically inclusive, because that's one of the things I really want to recommend. The planning committee, they made that very important decision to ensure the marathon was inclusive, but we also need to ensure that the objective of why we are doing this marathon is achieved by following the recommendations to the letter and ensuring good compliance of even the financial recommendations. Because when you hear that almost everything was paid by cash, so you are like, how was the internal audit involved in all this? So we need to be able to ensure this is done. And we had so many partners that came on board. So we also need to give them that confidence that whatever resources that they are bringing to the county for the marathon are being used for the right purposes, and they are achieving the objective that was intended. So I do support. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
All right. Thank you, Honorable Joyce.
I call the mover.
Call the mover, yeah.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I take this opportunity to appreciate the honorable members who have supported this motion, and we are all looking forward to have a better Nyandarua that can change, can help us change and build a great foundation, not for us more so, but we have children who are watching us, and the foundation, or the foundation that we will set today, it will have, number one, positive implications or negative implications now and in the future. So I'm looking forward that at least one day we will discourage the issue of paying money the way they cannot be traced. I'll be looking forward to see the county that will set everything great, that foundation that can assist the systems, so that when I and you, all members who are here, will not in our positions, or will be maybe in a national or international positions, those people who occupy those seats that we are holding today, they will be able now to have a smooth way of doing things because of the foundation that we have managed to set. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I move.
Thank you, Honorable Isaac Mbai. I now put the question that this House does adopt the reports of the Committee on Water, Sanitation, Environment, Tourism, Natural Resources, and Climate Change on Nyandarua County Lake Olborosat Sports, Tourism, and Conservation Half Marathon Fund Annual Reports and financial statements for the financial year ended 30th June 2025 as a report of the House, and the recommendations therein as the resolutions of the House. May those of a similar opinion say aye. May those of a contrary opinion say nay. And the ayes have it. Clerk, next order.
Madam Speaker, we have exhausted the business as is appearing in this
Having exhausted today's morning business, I now adjourn the House to Wednesday at 2:30 p.m.